Welcome back to the Have You Seen My Childhood podcast. It's been about, what would you say,
It's
Pris?
been about a year and a quarter.
I'm the American Oni,
My name's Pris.
and we have been crazy the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Alice had a rough time.
She had 2 rough times, but she came through it swimmingly. But it took almost all of that time plus a good portion of our bank account.
Yeah, that was really rough. And then, we had WrestleMania this year, so I had to really focus on being ready. I wrestled 5 times in 1 week, which is crazy for me.
But I think you should, in all of that, be really proud of yourself, of us, for being able to do that. It was really great. We made a lot of what I hope are lifetime connections and friends through the experience. And so we're hoping to come back and do this a little more regularly.
Yeah, so I apologize, please, and please keep following. And so this time, because it's the 30th anniversary this year, we're doing both pilot episodes of both the original Japanese version and the American version of Power Rangers. The Japanese version was Kyōryū Sentai Zyuranger. And growing up for me, we would just call it Zyuranger. Pris, what's your thoughts on that?
Well, I did not grow up watching this as a child, but I did grow up in a predominantly Asian neighborhood / community. So I knew a little bit here and there, but really the only thing that I know is about Rita. She was the only one that kind of interested me, quite honestly. But until I was an adult, I still don't think I've seen a full episode.
You have never seen an episode. We've purposely made it.
No, I mean even of Power Rangers, even of the American version.
I know. We've purposely did it for this reason. We held off so we could have this experience together.
Really? All the time that we've been together?
Yeah. Also, I think you've been a little begrudgingly with it. I've been having to pull you around.
Well, okay. So just as a small aside, one of the things that I've been learning through doing this podcast is it's kind of been filling in those times of my adulthood where I felt kind of out of place, or that I didn't know anything about the subject of the conversation that has to do with pop culture. So it is helping with that. But it's been a really interesting learning experience overall. So
what do you think Zyurangers are?
Well, I know it has something to do with dinosaurs.
Okay.
And I know it has something to do with people who have some kind of superpower. Obviously, it's why they have superpower suits on. Oh, one of the things that I do know is that for the American version of Power Rangers, they would take a lot of the original Japanese action scenes where they're completely like masked up and reuse that for the American version.
Yes.
I do know that.
But what do you think this show is about? So superheroes with dinosaurs.
Teenage.
Okay.
Superheroes.
Okay.
Dinosaurs. And then don't they also like combine their powers at some point and become like a Megazord or something?
That's in the American one for sure. but we're talking about Zyurangers right now
Oh,
specifically.
I don't know.
So you feel like you're going in blind pretty much.
Well, okay.
Besides dinosaurs and
Besides
teenagers.
that, and like I said, I know a little bit about Rita, but I know that she's like so much more evil. So much more evil in the Japanese version.
Okay, so
I'm kind of excited about her story arc.
Okay, so
in the Japanese version.
Yeah, so I'm gonna, without much spoilers,
okay.
I'm gonna correct you a little bit in this.
There's no dinosaurs?
There's no Rita in the Japanese version.
Oh, her name is different.
Yes, the witch is named Bandura.
Yes, now, that's familiar.
So that is the different thing. So I'm going to read you the IMDb American description
of the Japanese.
Okay. So it says, the witch Bandura vows revenge against the earth after being imprisoned for millions of years. 5 tribes from ancient human civilizations chosen one of their best warriors to form the dinosaur battle team Beast Rangers and protect the planet. The complete form of their guardian beast, the ultimate great god of creatures, Daijujin, imprisoned Bandura and her gang on the planet Nemesis in 1992. All right, hold on. No. In 1992, Barza, posing as an apartment manager, was forced to revive the Zyurangers to protect the Earth against protect Earth again when astronauts accidentally released Bandura.
Okay, so I have 2 questions.
Okay.
Hopefully none. Obviously, if there's spoilers, don't answer. Do we ever find out what Bandura did to be imprisoned?
Yes. I'm not going to tell you what that is.
Right, I figured. Also, did you as a kid understand that? Because that seems like a lot.
So, yes, I did.
Because you had ADHD and you were hyper-focused.
Well, not only that, it's to give a little background. My father and my grandmother are from Japan, and back in the early 90s, late 80s, in order to get any type of Japanese television, my grandmother would tape trade with people.
Yeah, okay, I remember you telling me about that.
So
right?
To young people who may not know what we're talking about, there used to be these things called VHS tapes.
It's not cassette tapes.
No, they're VHS tapes, and it predated the DVD and all of that. And back in the late 80s, early 90s, unless you had a lot of money and could afford these giant satellite dishes, you couldn't get Japanese television. Otherwise, you're doing tape trading. So my grandmother, who babysat me and did a lot of my raising, she would get all kinds of Japanese television, and she got these tapes for me as a kid. Mm. So I got to know the Zyurangers way before the Power Rangers entered the American atmosphere. So
you're like, who are these guys?
Well, I still enjoyed them very much too. However, it is different, and because at that time I was bilingual, we spoke Japanese and English at home, I was able to follow it, and it was fine. So it'll be interesting to see what you think. Are you ready, Pris?
I'm ready. I'm really interested in. Well, I mean, I always love the original source version of things better than the remake Americanized version of things. So, yeah, bring it on.
All right, let's get to it. And we're back. So what did you think of Zyuranger?
I really enjoyed it. There is something that So one of my absolute favorite childhood memories of mine is my mother was a really big fan of Asian cinema, a variety of genres. And so this gave me like a little warm, fuzzy feeling. So it was unapologetically weird. It was there's something very charming about it. Hi, Teddy.
Teddy agrees.
I would watch this whole series.
Good. We might have to. We might have to.
And just as I suspected, Bandura is amazing. Like, unapologetically.
How much did you love her flying penny farthing?
She's riding a levitating penny farthing while simultaneously brandishing a magical staff, and also talking about how much she hates everyone, but especially children.
Yeah.
It's no notes. No, I actually did make some notes, but
so
notes on her.
It may not, because the pilot episodes, to be continued, ends on the cliffhanger.
Don't they all?
Yes and no. Some of them, have little stories end.
Okay.
However, if it wasn't clear, the reason why Bandura got caged is because she likes to spread hate and murder children,
of course,
in the name of Satan.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Wonderful. No, I remember the satanic kind of coloring of her character. I remember reading about that.
In the weird Japanese belief in what Satan is.
Right. Not a Judeo-Christian kind of thinking of what...
They just know Satan is like an ultimate bad guy. That's basically right, how the writer...
Bad.
Exactly. That's how the writers think of it.
So I have a question, like a big question.
Okay, what's your big question?
Obviously, we're dealing with a lot of, let's say, creative ideas. But is this an alternate universe where there is a planet Nexus? Hi, baby. That looks to be as close as our moon is. Like, what's...
Okay, so...
And do they just use it as a prison planet?
Just to basically do a rundown, a quick summarization of the episode. The White Wizard... Barza.
Got it.
Yes. Has been hiding himself just to watch over Earth. And,
okay.
And in this version of Earth, everything has been peaceful for years, and everything's going well for Earth.
Okay.
Bandura was banished on Nexus in that canister. And Nexus is more like, I would say, according to this episode, it's kind of like a moon, but its
is it
orbit...
like a moon?
No, but its orbit is further than our moon, so it only comes close to Earth.
You mean farther?
No, it comes closer to Earth.
Right, but it's further and farther.
Okay. Well, the orbit is larger.
Thank you.
English major. This is why I call her Hermione. She always has to correct me. But
it's important.
Their orbit is larger, so it only comes close to Earth every 1,000 years or so.
Okay.
So that's why they're sending this team of astronauts
Including children.
That includes children astronauts.
What? That was very...
Yeah, to explore the surface of Nexus, because they figured it's close as the moon. We can land the shuttle on the moon. We can land the shuttle on Nexus.
Maybe it was bring your daughter to work day?
Well, they don't I'm assuming these kids won a contest being good students or something, and they got...
Let's not
they didn't clearly
hey,
explain
at least it wasn't
why the
Big
kids...
Bird, right?
Right. Well, yeah, let's not go into that. That's a dark turn of events. However, the adult astronauts mess up, release Bandora, and Bandora decides she's going to kidnap the kids on her way back to Earth.
So where did those other monster creatures come from? Were they also kind of banished to Nexus?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's like Bandora and her gang, her little lackeys.
Okay. I did appreciate when all of the moving buildings and all of that was going on, and then Bandora's palace was situated on top of the tower building.
Yeah.
That someone in the crowd made a Gaudi reference. And I was like, yes. Thank you for making this artistic reference at a children's show.
Also,
thank you.
Bandora's palace on top of the tower had a neon light saying Bandora's palace.
Well, if you're gonna have an evil lair, you've got to have one that's stylish.
Okay, so then the White Wizard has to go and get the Zyurangers from their slumber.
Okay, I have a couple of questions before this.
Okay.
First of all, I wrote... This was during the part where Bandora is riding around in the sky on a penny farthing, which, if I was the type of person that was going to get a tattoo, I would consider that as a tattoo.
Bandora on a penny farthing?
On a penny farthing. Like the sky. And underneath that tattoo, in a ribbon, it would say, and this is a quote, "You believe in love," or whatever. And then of course her other quote that was hilarious to me was just, "I hate children." So here are my questions coming up about the release of the... Can you say it for me again? The
Zyurangers. Zyuranger. So it's pronounced like J-U-U Ranger. Zyuranger.
Okay.
Yeah. It's spelt Zyuranger.
Okay.
But it's pronounced Zyuranger.
Okay. Thank you for having patience with me. Dyslexia. Did you notice that they were burning tires inside of the Dino Temple? I thought that was a weird choice.
That was a weird choice.
That was a real weird choice. Also, when Barza is waking up / releasing the Zyuranger. Get used to... I'm going to try each time. When he went over to release May, so he has like a little pep talky kind of, hey, let's get the gang back together kind of thing to each one of the Rangers in their respective little cells. And when he gets to May, who's the only woman in the group, he says, "Hey, there's no time to put on makeup."
Yeah. Well, number one, it was the 90s. And what I will say about my culture is they have gotten a little better in regards of their treatment of women. So there's still a long way to go. There's still a long way to go in American culture.
Yeah, in that's saying. And I have one more thing. I
want to point out in that same group, they had Boy, who is obviously the baby of the group.
Yes.
Is a Yellow Ranger.
Yes.
He was like, "Get up, boy!" That was it.
That's all the encouragement he got.
Yeah.
So, what crime did the Rangers commit that they are also imprisoned for such a long time?
So this is not the same type of situation as Demolition Man. Meaning they were not punished as well. What's happening with them is they volunteered. They're both representatives of each tribe. And they volunteered to go into that slumber in case Earth needs heroes again.
Okay. So they decided a bunch of teenagers were the best case scenario.
Well, the big difference between this and the American one is these are more like young adults. I would say the only one that is probably a teenager is Boy.
So they're not all...
No.
I would
say,
interesting.
I forgot his name, but the prince who is...
Geki?
Geki, thank you. Her notes are better than mine. Prince Geki is like a man. Like, it's obviously a man. Like, he's the leader of the group. And that's why he came in with a big force at the end.
Right. So where was he?
He was just trapped. They couldn't get the door open because his key broke.
Wah, wah.
Yeah.
Okay, I was wondering about that. I was like, I also really enjoyed that it frequently looked like a Capcom game. It's like there was so much going on.
Yeah.
Especially when they were on the shore with the...
Oh, when they got tricked into that beach.
Yeah. And they had the mud dolls and
the explosions,
and then they have the weird green screen stuff that's coming down from the sky, and then like green screen windows opening up, and then there's Bandura. I can imagine as a kid who also has ADHD, that very much holding your attention. Because there was just a lot to try to figure out visually.
You also have to give it up to the stunts department. The way these actors are doing these flip falls, like right next to these explosions on the beach.
Right. The word safety does not really come to mind.
Yeah.
Also, then, so they weren't even out for like an afternoon, and then straight to jail.
Straight to jail.
Yeah,
well, they got captured. Well, they got captured really easy.
That's what I mean.
Geki.
Maybe they were rusty from being imprisoned all that time.
Probably. Well, and also, how I perceived it is, these are representatives from different tribes.
Okay.
They may have known each other before, but they never really worked as a team up until this moment. So that's kind of part of what they learn as the series goes on, is how to work better as a team.
Oh. Okay. So, another thing that I really liked that the mud dolls were at times in stop motion.
Mm-hmm.
I like that they're utilizing all of these. They have model making. They have all of the different kind of kaiju kind of things going on. They have, not the highest grade of special effects going on, but I appreciate that they had all of these different...
Again, this was 92.
Really?
Yeah, it was
it's 92. Wow, it looks like it was made in the 70s or something.
Now, one of the things that I thought was hilarious was Bandura's overly complicated child-killing device. Not only did she shrink them down, she could have stepped on them.
No, so you gotta play with them a little bit.
It's what are those devices where like in Pee-wee's house for his breakfast?
I always forget what
Myers-Briggs?
they're called. No, that's
no?
that's that weird 19th century personality test thing.
Oh, that's right.
Right. No.
I don't know what words mean.
It's fine. No, oh gosh, it's gonna bother me now.
But
I've had pain brain for too many days in a row to like bring
but
this information
it's like
up.
overly complicated. Like they shrink down the
Just
whole
call
shuttle.
it a breakfast machine.
Yeah. Pee-wee style breakfast machine.
Yeah.
Where they have a giant weight over the shrunken.
They have a magnifying glass.
Yeah. Hold up to a string, and hoping the sun will burn the string.
Right, hoping the sun is in that position long enough, or that there's no
crush
cloud
the
cover.
children with this giant weight over the shuttle. This is overly complicated.
And the shuttle was very, very small at times, but then when the other kaiju came along at the end, it was suddenly normal sized again.
Yeah, they didn't really.
There's no continuity.
Yeah, there was not a size continuity. I think that was just also a quick way of them rushing to it to become normal size. So they could go into like, okay, they don't have to find a way to unshrink the kids.
Okay.
I think that's what it is.
All right.
I mean, it's a kid's show.
Right.
Let's not overcomplicate it.
Right.
So some of you may or may not know, we also do stunts, and one of my favorite people that we've done stunts with is Azim, who later went on to become the Black and Green Power Ranger.
Didn't we also work with Alex?
Yes, but the quote that I'm going from now is from Azim. I asked him after his first year of being Power Ranger, coming back, I was like, how are the fans treating you? And he's like, oh, they're fine, it's mostly kids stuff. I'm like, just wait. He goes to Comic-Con, and I see him after Comic-Con, and I was like, so how was the fan experience? And he was like, these fans, like, I love them, but the questions sometimes I didn't have answers. They'd have these overcomplicated questions about the story, and sometimes I would look at it and be like, man, the demographic are 9-year-olds. I don't know what to tell you. So like, when you watch shows like this, Pris, you need to keep that in mind. Like, the demographic is 9-year-olds. They're not going to overly explain everything.
No, and I understand that. I mean, yes, do I get a little nitpicky about continuity and things like that? Yes, but I also understand what the audience and the aim.
It's the pacing for that attention span.
No, I get that. And I mean, some of my favorite movies are not movies that other people would ever uphold as being of great quality, but they have something that's very earnest and a little I don't want to say reckless. I want to say like exuberant. There's like this vibrancy about those particular pieces of entertainment. And yeah, I 100% would have watched this as a kid if it was available to me. I have a question about Dan.
Okay.
I know we haven't seen a lot of, besides May and Genki. Besides the two of them, we haven't really seen like a lot of like individualization. But Dan is the Triceratops,
yes,
which is my favorite dinosaur. Is he a decent character?
I mean, they all have their moments as the shows spreads on. They all have moments.
Okay, because I mean, I'm going to be watching this show mostly for Bandura.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, come on.
Yeah,
that's there's no disguising that. That's what I'm going to be watching this for. So the opening credits of the show, B+.
B+?
I'll give them B+. Like, the song is decent.
Yeah, I think it slaps. I love it. I was like doing my little dance.
The song is decent. Like
Zyuranger,
right?
Zyuranger.
But like a lot of Asian shows, and Oni and I watch a lot of Asian shows, and we both grew up watching a lot of Asian shows. The closing credits. If there was a letter above the letter A, I don't know how many pluses after an A I can give.
Just chef's kiss.
Oh, it was just like there's so much going on, and I realize it's clips from future shows, but the music, so there's a different closing credit song, and there's just so much going on, and it's presented in this very like, yeah, this happened, this very like matter of fact, like, oh, these things happen all the time kind of thing. That's what sold me 100%.
You want me to blow your mind real quick?
What?
That ending credits?
Yeah.
They just filmed for that. That is not clips from other episodes.
What?
It's literally just a bunch of silly moments that they decided to have the cast do.
Wait. Really?
Yes. Those are not moments from future shows. Like them getting stuck in the Jeep and they're pushing the Jeep out of the sand.
Can you promise me something?
What?
I really mean this right now.
What?
You promise me that when, not if, there is a video or television show that is somehow affiliated with us, that we have closing credits like that.
Yes, I promise.
Okay.
Okay.
Because I just... really?
Yeah.
So are they the same for every end of the show?
Yeah, pretty much.
Wait, there's new stuff that they add?
Not that I recall. I think it's just the same video for the end each time.
I'm not going to complain. I would gladly watch that again and again and again. I might even make my own lore
of what's going on there
to try to make it make sense.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't.
No,
but
it's just like, I think it just kind of shows that a little bit of a spoiler for what we're going to watch next. Another big difference is the Zyurangers don't have a secret identity. So
because they've been locked up in a dinosaur cave for like a million years or something.
So people of Japan or Earth, they know they know their names, they know they're the Zyurangers and stuff like that. So that's that. I think the ending credits was attempting to show them like having fun in their day-to-day life and not necessarily being a superhero all the time.
Okay, so I have one more question, and then we'll move on to the second show.
The Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
Okay, so now they're out.
Yeah.
Right? What's their day-to-day life like, or is that just what the other shows are? Do they go into like what the day-to-day life of someone who is essentially some kind of superhero who's been incarcerated for over a million years?
Kind of. I mean, it shows them adapting to modern life a little bit. A little bit of a blast to the past moment. Blast from the past moment. So they have little bits and stuff, but I also think that's why they have the ending credits, so you can see what their day-to-day life is them. That's why it's a little goofy. It's them adjusting to human life. Like you see Boy get out of a car trying to look all fancy.
Right. It was
it's them trying to blend in and be normal when they're
failing
not.
Miserably.
Yeah.
But in a very entertaining way. Okay, yeah. Bring on. I guess we're watching the first episode of Power Rangers now?
Yeah, so the next thing we're watching here is the pilot episode of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. So I'm going to read the storyline according to IMDb.
Okay.
The storyline is 4 athletically able teenagers along with their brainy friend Billy, which makes it seem like Billy's not athletic. That's not fair. It says
that's not cool.
Are selected by Zordon to fight off to fight the evil of Rita Repulsa, her monsters, and her minions after the witch is accidentally released from imprisonment in an intergalactic dumpster on the moon.
Okay, so they've already made some adjustments here.
Yeah.
Oh, and don't we follow the actor that is Zordon on TikTok?
Yes. He's a super
very
nice
man.
Yes, he's super nice man. Great TikTok friends.
Yes.
Okay, so here we're gonna get into it.
All right, here we go.
See you in a minute, everybody, or hear you in a minute, or talk to you in a minute. I'm not very good at this podcasting thing. We'll be back. And we're back. Pris, what did you think of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers?
Well, first and foremost, the theme song is amazing.
Yeah, there was a rumor that it was like ghost written by Megadeth.
I have heard that before.
Yeah, so I don't know if there's any truth to that or if it was just some kind of urban myth.
I mean, they didn't have to go that hard.
No, they didn't.
Is what it comes down to.
No.
That's really the key to this. Right off the bat, big difference here is it was 170 million years that the witch Bandora was in prison. And in this one, 10,000 years ago. Just 10. Which brings us to the Ice Age versus, we'll have to get into all of the paleontology here, but just real briefly, the different dinosaurs that they have represented are from very different time periods.
Yeah.
We'll just leave it at that.
Yeah,
we'll
that's
just
fine.
Leave it at that.
Again, remember, demographic is 9-year-olds.
I understand, but as a 9-year-old who was into dinosaurs, I knew my different eras. Okay. That's all. I would have called this out as a child.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying.
Okay. Hermione.
So there's a very, very distinct and different tone with this show versus the Japanese show.
Oh, for sure. Like, if you were to compare just Rita and Bandora alone, their introductions, Bandora immediately murders the astronauts by yeeting them into outer space.
They're gone.
And Rita lets them run away scared.
Yeah.
And just goes, "Where are you going?"
Well, and Rita in this one is also very... I almost called her... not Elphaba. It's in my head as Elphaba. What did that person recently call her? Elphaba. Yes.
Elphaba.
She was a very wicked witch.
Yeah.
And her hench people were very flying monkeys energy.
Yeah.
And it was very, so much more of a buffoonery versus in the original, although it's still played for comedy, there's very much this subtext of, no, this person will do terrible things to you and not give it a second thought. But in this version, she and her
minions,
her minions are a lot goofier.
Yeah. And there's a lot more moments of physical violence of her whacking them.
Yes, it's a little Three Stooges at times.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, who are the bullies that the Power Rangers bully?
So it's Bulk and Skull. Bulk and Skull are reoccurring characters. They're very much the bullies, though.
But they seem to get...
You want to talk buffoonery? That's where Bulk and Skull come in, because they are very much comic relief. They're very much a Laurel and Hardy type setup where they get in their own ways.
They're very... They are the definition of hoisted by one's own petard.
Yeah.
They are that. But they are no Laurel and Hardy.
Well, you could tell
they're
that's
like the Wish. They're like the Wish version.
You could tell they tried.
Oh, try harder.
However, and I blame the writers, not the actors.
Okay.
The actors are very nice men.
Oh, good. I always like when people are nice.
Yeah, they're both very nice men. A friend of ours, actually, one of their acting teachers was Skull, the littler one.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but I mean, they get a little bit of a character arc on their own.
Okay, and this is just the pilot.
Yes. So they kind of grow, and they kind of get this weird thing where it's funny because they become fans of Power Rangers even though they don't like the kids who are the Power Rangers.
Oh, so this is a little bit like Peter Parker, Spider-Man,
and Flash Thompson.
Yeah,
it's very much like that.
Okay.
Where they're kind of super fans at some point.
Okay.
And I think recently they made in the comic books they gave Bulk and Skull Power Ranger coins, and Bulk is like a warthog, and I know people who know it better is going to yell at me. Skull is like a different kind of pterodactyl, but not like the Pink Ranger ones. But yeah. So it's like slightly different.
Is he like Terry?
No.
From Pee-wee's. That's our second Pee-wee's Playhouse.
Terry.
Pee-wee.
Pee-wee.
Okay, so were they at the Miyagi-Do at the beginning?
No.
What's going on there?
So that is the Angel Grove, the juice bar gym that they go to. It's one of the reoccurring spaces where it's kind of like an after school program where all the teenagers go and hang out. They do all kinds of events at that juice bar as the series goes on.
So that's kind of like their hub.
Yeah.
Okay. That was odd. I did like that. Is it Xandar? Zordon.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm just creating characters now. That when he tells Alpha 5.
Yes.
Yay! Who
shortened to Alpha.
Okay. Who? By the way, Alpha 5's physicality just reminds me of that one messy friend that everybody has.
Well, Alpha is the most high-strung character on the show.
Obviously.
Yeah.
So obviously. So
Alpha's whose catchphrase is ay.
Yeah, that's a little ick.
That's the catchphrase Alpha has.
Yeah.
Alpha's constantly panicking and yelling ay.
Yeah. I did like though that the Power Rangers were collectively described as overbearing, emotional teenagers.
I have the quote actually down as 5 overbearing and over-emotional beings.
Oh, okay.
That's what it was. And then Alpha said, no, not teenagers.
Oh, that's what it was. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So, yeah, it's just right off the bat. And then they go in this whole tirade. I feel like it's over-explaining everything for the American audience.
Yeah, it was very spoon-fed / hand-holdy versus the Japanese version.
And we have little differences, things like the Power Morphers versus the Dino Bucklers.
Yes.
But yeah, it's very spoon-fed. Zordon and Alpha explain every little detail of their powers.
I did like that they went through individually with each of the Power Rangers and like talked about what attributes they had. And I wrote down, because I noticed that Billy is the Triceratops. And it's the best dinosaur. Because it's fashionable and dangerous. And to Billy, it was said, because you are patient and wise. And that perfectly describes why I resonate with the Triceratops so much. Because I, too, am patient and wise. I couldn't even get through it.
No.
I'm not patient.
At all. Not at all.
I'm like a wise
You have your wise moments, but you are not patient.
No, not patient. I'm working on it. Working on it.
You know, it's good to constantly be working on yourself.
Yes, we are all works in progress. Rita's dubbed voice is ridiculous.
I love it.
I like it, but at the same time, I almost have to concentrate a little bit of what else is going on because it's so distracting.
Yeah. The voice actress, I forgot her name, but she did, she brought a lot to that role.
Yeah.
For sure, she acted her butt off. It was crazy. She went all in on it.
Without a doubt. Like, you can hear every little nuance and nodule in that performance.
Yeah. And I like that, the Power Rangers, they decide, no, we don't want to be Power Rangers. Let's walk home.
That was an odd choice.
And they didn't even know where they were.
No. And how can you not know where you are when you're at the Star Trek rocks?
Yeah, the Vasquez rocks.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like who
Well, I think they knew where they were. They were like, well, we could at least go to ride home. That was like the joke. So I think they knew they were outside city limits.
Yeah, couldn't they just still do their little...
Well, they don't know. They're just learning.
And just become like a big...
They were learning everything at this point. They get their butt kicked by the putties.
Okay, so they're not, what do they call them in the last one?
Mud dolls.
Mud dolls. Now they're putties. I freaking loved the sound they made. They sounded like squid people?
Yeah.
I don't know who made that choice, but kudos. I hope they got a pay bump for that.
No, I love that. That was a lot of fun. And here's where you could see the fight choreographers working with the American actors to try to make it similar to the fighting styles to the original Power Rangers.
Yes, that was interesting.
They did do some twists.
Yes.
For example, a lot of Billy's fight scene was him just trying to get out of the way and the putties accidentally hitting each other.
Right.
And then you get to see the invention of hip-hop keto.
Yeah, that was a choice.
Yeah, Zach's hip-hop keto, which I thought as a kid was hilarious.
Of course.
Yeah, it was just fun.
Right. It was a little bit of one of my favorite things in the world, which is capoeira.
Yeah, a little bit of that.
Can't get enough of that martial art form. It's crazy the amount. It's astonishing the difference between the two shows. Because I can see, obviously, some of the reuse of some of the scenes that I had just watched on the Japanese version and how they edited and changed and modified them and then added different scenes from, I'm guessing, what are future shows.
Yeah.
To kind of fill out what is a completely different story in a lot of respects.
Yeah.
So I can't say completely. I'd say 65% different story. And that was interesting, especially because in the Japanese version, I felt like I was watching something like superhero driven. In the American version, I felt like I was watching a toy commercial.
So that was interesting. Both versions were made to sell toys.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, 100%. However, I put the main difference, in my opinion, is the Zyuranger, the Japanese version. They take their time to build more. So, like, with this one, you jump right into the formula, what becomes the formula of the show. They fight putties. May or may not be successful fighting the putties. then have to morph into the Power Rangers. Then the monster comes.
Right.
Then they fight the monster.
Right.
The monster has to grow. Then the monster's kaiju size. Then they get the Zords. And the Zords go into the Megazord. And then they do giant fight. And then Rita loses. And that becomes the formula. Where I feel like in the Japanese version, they take longer to do things. Like, it takes them a while to get comfortable, or it takes them a while to go, oh yeah, let's use our Zords. It like the cliffhanger, the other one was there's suddenly a kaiju that's working called the Bandura Titan.
And what are they going to do about it?
Yeah. And so they get and I even remember in the Japanese version when they finally make Megazord, it's a big deal.
I very much resonated with the pacing of the Japanese version versus the American version. The American version almost, it made me feel like I was being overfed everything. Everything was a little too fast, a little too much going on. And I mean, that's saying a lot considering what was going on with the Japanese version.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on in the Japanese version. So I don't know if it's because I was raised watching a wide variety of international entertainment that maybe I'm not responding as much to the like American version. I'm not entirely sure, but
so as we're both 80s babies, but as one that grew up with the pop culture of the time, this is, I feel, especially at that time, you know, we had He-Man, we had Ninja Turtles. A lot of this stuff was essentially, like you said earlier, giant toy commercials.
Yeah.
And they were keeping things fast-paced like this for small attention spans. And, you know, with internet and stuff like that, this is where I'm going to sound like a grumpy old boomer here. You know, the attention spans are just, they've gotten smaller and smaller.
I mean, that's why we have TikTok. We have
3-minute videos.
And that seems like forever.
Well, don't get me started on 10-minute ones. You know?
Oh, we will never do a 10-minute TikTok video.
However, this is where the start, in my opinion, of a lot of these like fast-paced, give the kids the engaged and sell them something and move on. And like I said, the Japanese versions, they're very much take their time and their pacing, and you could tell that they wanted characters to matter more.
Right, more character development.
And even more building of their powers. Like, they weren't sure, oh no, how are we going to fight this giant monster?
Right.
Where the Power Rangers, it was like they knew. Like, they knew, let me call my, that's right, we have a giant sword, let me get the giant sword. You know, all that stuff.
Yeah,
just,
that was very truncated. Would you chalk that up to some kind of dormant but innate power that they had within them the entire time, so that when they are called upon to be in combat, it's kind of like a muscle memory thing?
Something like that. I think a lot of it with their power suits, like even Billy's fighting ability got better, so it became...
He was more confident.
Yeah. And so a lot of that, I think, came with... is part of their powers, essentially. Like, they knew how that stuff worked.
So would you say it was like a symbiosis with their suit a little bit too? Okay.
Yeah. What I think the real answer is, some executive was like, come on, we have to sell these toys. Let's get these toys out there as soon as possible. Because they wanted, the Japanese one, like I said, they took time to build the Zords up into something, and I remember it being a big deal when Megazord actually gets put together. You could tell right off the bat the American was like, this toy is going to sell gangbusters. Let's show the toy. Put the damn toy out there. Let's see this toy.
Right.
Because they knew that this is the best of Power Rangers. This is the best of Voltron. And there's dinosaurs. And this is the, so let's get this going so we could put it on the market. And it worked. It was the craziest toy craze of the next few years were Power Ranger toys. You have often teased me about my Rosebud, which was the Green Ranger that comes with the Dragon Zord.
Yeah.
By the way, have you noticed neither one of these episodes there's no Green Ranger?
I noticed that, and I'm guessing. Well, I know from your talks about White Ranger, Green Ranger, all of that, at least for the American version, I know a little bit about all of that because I know how much it means to you.
By the way,
and I listen.
Jason David Frank, rest in peace.
Yeah.
I hope your family's doing well. That was my favorite character. And, put in the comments, do you guys want to see us do the Green Ranger saga or any of those episodes? Let us know in the comments.
Or if there's something that particularly spoke to you in either the Japanese or the American version of Power Rangers, let us know.
Correct us if we said something dumb.
I'm sure, I am certain that I have. My apologies to anyone out there. But I enjoyed this for a multitude of reasons. Number one being that I know how much Oni is how much of their childhood and how much of their nostalgia is tied up with both versions. And it's wonderful when they share something like that means so much. So that was nice. I enjoyed that.
Good. Do you think you have any interest in watching Power Rangers? Like you said, you have interest in watching Zyurangers.
Maybe here or there.
Maybe here or there? Okay.
The comedy and the tone did not hit the target as closely for me as the Japanese version. Mm-hmm. But there are definitely parts of it that were very entertaining.
I also like to end with this little note that my grandmother, who still watched the American version with me after things moved over to the United States, and one of her favorite things to do was at the end of every episode, she would mock Rita Repulsa by saying Rita Repulsa's catchphrase, "I have a headache." That's what my grandmother would say. "I have a headache. I have a headache," in her broken Japanese. Aww. Because Bandura never said stuff like that, but that was Rita's catchphrase. She'd lose every time. "Oh, I have a headache," and there goes my bachan. "Oh, I have a headache," making fun of her every time.
I wish I had gotten to hear that. That sounds adorable.
Well, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, tune in for our next episode in 2026.
Hopefully it's not that long. All right, well, thank you, and we'll see you next time.
Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye.